One of the dishes that I always request when my mother is in town is fried bake. While I make a good fried bake, hers is simply unmatched. So I decided to record her and just get all of her tips and techniques, and hopefully it can help you to make the best fried bake as well. She starts by mixing the dry ingredients together: all-purpose flour and baking powder. She prefers to use baking powder as a leavening agent instead of yeast. This is going to help the bake to puff up very nicely. She's added salt to the flour and baking powder, and then she's just going to mix this all together. Next, she's adding softened butter to the flour mixture. You can also use margarine as well. And she's just going to mix that butter into the flour using the spoon. And don't worry guys, I will have the full recipe linked below in the description box. I will add all of her tips and tricks in the blog post. And what she's doing right now is using the spoon to mash the butter into the flour. You don't want any large clumps of butter. For the wet ingredients, she's using a combination of warm milk and water. Now you can use just water if you prefer. And now she's going to add the sugar to the warmed milk and water mixture and just stir it just until the sugar starts to dissolve a little bit. And this is not all of the liquid that we're going to use. Now, in true Guyanese mom fashion, she's going to do this by feel. But don't worry, I will have all the measurements in that blog post. Now, once she's created a well in the center of the flour, she's going to pour some of the liquid. You don't want to pour all at once. And then she's just going to mix it in little by little using the spoon. And while we had the bakes with eggs, tell me what's your favorite way to have bakes. Do you like it with eggs? Do you like it with jam? Do you like it with saltfish or maybe smoked herring? Let me know in the comments what's your favorite way to enjoy the fried bake. And as you can see, she's just continuing to add the liquid little by little. And here's another variation of this recipe as well. Instead of using water or milk, you can use coconut milk, and that gives it an amazing flavor. I do have a coconut milk bake recipe. I will leave that linked in the description box as well, so be sure to check that out. And as you can see, the dough has finally come together, and this is the consistency that you're looking for. It's relatively soft, but it's not too sticky. And she's going to continue to knead this. She kneads it for about 5 minutes, just until the dough gets really smooth. And this is what it should look like after about 5 minutes of kneading. No additional flour was added. She's forming it into a ball, and then she's going to place it into the bowl to rise. Let it sit for about 30 minutes so that it can rise. And cover it with cling wrap or even just a bowl that has a lid. This prevents it from becoming hard from being exposed to the air. Now that she's turned the dough onto a floured surface, she's going to cut it into 10 pieces. Now you may get less or more depending on the size of your bake. Her bakes are usually very large, so if you want to do more of like a medium-sized bake, you can cut them a little smaller. And let me just say this, I've made bakes many times, but I don't move the way in which she does. The way in which she makes bakes is like a professional. Next, she's going to roll each piece into a ball. Now, there are two ways you can do this. You can either do it the way in which my mom is doing it, or you can roll out the entire dough and then use a circular cutter, or you can even just cut the bakes into different shapes like triangles and squares. That is if this technique is a little bit too difficult for you. The final step to forming the bake is to roll the dough into a circle. And to do that, she's rolling it back and forth about 3 or 4 times, then turn it sideways and then doing the same. This is a very easy technique to rolling a perfect circle. And she's going to roll out all of the bakes before it's time to fry. Another tip that she shared with me is to make sure to press the ends of the bake. You want them to be flat. I guess it rises better that way. And now it's time to add the oil to the pot. And the reason why I have 2 different sets is because we're reusing the oil that we used to fry mitai a few days earlier. And she's just going to pour some fresh oil on top of that. You want your oil to be about 2 to 3 inches deep. Turn the fire to medium high, and when the oil is hot, drop the bake into the oil. The oil will start to bubble and the bake will start to rise. This is how you know that the oil is hot enough. And this is another trick to getting your bake to rise properly. Gently baste the top of the bake with the hot oil. The heat helps it to expand, and this just gives you the fluffiest bakes. And as you can see, the bake is quickly rising. Now, if the bake begins to split, just flip it over quickly. That stops it from puffing up even more. And the bake cooks relatively quickly. I didn't make too many cuts to the video because I wanted you guys to be able to get an idea of how fast it cooks. And she's just going to continue to baste the top of the bake because this allows it to cook even more and become golden brown. And I know that some people don't believe that you can make puffy light bake with baking powder, that it has to be yeast, but I'm here to show you that you can use either one and it works just as well. Now, once the bake is golden brown on both sides, she's just going to remove it and place it into a bowl that's been lined with paper towel. And she's just going to continue the process and fry the bakes one by one. And as you can see, her pouring the oil is helping that section of the bake that wasn't rising. See how it's puffing when she pours that hot oil on top of the bake. And as I was saying, she's frying the bakes one by one. Well, her bakes are huge, as you can see. But even if you have smaller bakes or a larger pan, you don't want to crowd the pan because it does cause the temperature of the oil to drop. And this is how you're going to end up with a really greasy bake or one that just doesn't fry properly. I make my bakes much smaller than she does, and I don't fry more than 2 at a time. And just so you know that every bake is not going to be perfect, I wanted to show you this one that we made. No matter what we did, this was the shape that it wanted to be. And according to my followers on TikTok, they said my bakes has a BBL. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me if you've made it this far. I hope this video helps you to demystify how to make good bakes. Now, look at that. I'm just going to break it open to show you what it looks like inside. There's a little hole, but it still has some meat to it. That's how I like my bake. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next one.